Good afternoon, Bulldog fans. Welcome to the season finale of The Bark. I'm Mohsin and Waraich.
And I'm Peyton Thompson.
Today we have a brand new segment to show you, along with the recap of the women's lacrosse senior day game.
But first, Will Haughey takes a look back at the football team's spring game on Friday.
The Butler football team had its annual blue-white spring game this past Friday. The scrimmage put the offense against the defense and used a custom scoring system that consists of things like the defense getting 7 points for a turnover or the offense getting 2 points for converting on 4th down. The final score of the game was 54-33 with the defense coming out on top. Some highlights included the offense getting 17 first downs. Also, they had a 63-yard touchdown pass from Sam Brown to John Turley. On the other hand, the defense forced 4 3-and-outs. Cameron Browning and Thomas Rizzo both had interceptions. Mickey Kane also had a sack in the game. Maybe this is a sign for the Bulldogs defense going into the season. Their season starts on Saturday, August 31st on the road against the defending FCS champs, North Dakota State.
Joining me now is football analyst Jarod Lipson. Thanks for being here, Jarod. So the Bulldogs just had their spring game and they're looking forward to the 2019 season. And the Bulldogs lost a bunch of players. Which player do you think is going to make the biggest impact on the field that they lost?
Well, obviously Pace Temple's a huge loss. I mean, at a non-scholarship program like Butler, he's basically a once-in-a-generation player. I mean, I guess as far as replacing him goes, there's really no one person, obviously, that will probably ever replace him. Certainly not on the roster now or this or next year. But it'll basically just have to be a collection. Like the next 3 leading receivers last year were Brad Schneider as a running back, Brad Huth, and Stephen Dennis. So basically, like those 3 will all have to step up even more than they did last year. And I mean, just everyone will just have to kick in.
So as a team, looking forward to 2019, what is the one key that Butler needs to focus on?
Consistency is like the big thing. They had some big wins and some bad losses last year. The big wins are nice, but really it'd be great if they could like kind of even it out, get rid of those kind of lower areas. I mean, basically a big thing that happened last year was if they would have a bad play in a game at the end of the game and they would still have an opportunity, they would just be like beat basically from that play. And the same thing could happen from a bad loss going into the next week. So really what they have to do is not get beat twice. Consistency
is going to come into play when the Bulldogs have to face the FCS champion North Dakota State team. Very tough matchup to start the season for the Bulldogs in 2019. How do you see that game playing out? Obviously, it's a very, very difficult matchup to start the season.
Well, it's kind of intriguing. It's like, I mean, Butler played Youngstown State last year. They were 38-point underdogs. Youngstown State going in was ranked 24th. North Dakota State is ranked 1. They've won 7 of the last 8 FCS championships. So it's a pretty tough game. They get to play in a big stadium, though, so that'll be cool. Really, it would be like, it's a long shot. I'll level with you. It's a long shot. I can't, yeah, I guess I can't really have any words to emphasize how much of a long shot it is, but like, it'll be a good experience.
You know, like you said, Youngstown State, big upset last year for the Bulldogs. I don't know if it's quite in the range to beat the #1 team in FCS football, but you know, it's springtime here. Everyone's starting to get a little more excited for football season coming, so we'll see what the Bulldogs do. With the NBA playoffs in full swing, the MLB season underway, and the NFL draft just around the corner, Nick Kuster, Josh Mullenix, and Sam Phifer sit down to discuss some of the hottest topics in the world of sports. Guys?
Thanks, Mohsin. I'm Sam Phifer here with the first episode of Off the Chain. Joining me this week is Nick Kuster and Josh Mullenix. Guys, the first question, obviously coming from the NBA. With the playoffs just underway, what would you guys say the biggest surprise has been from each conference?
I would say the biggest surprise out of the West has to be for sure the Portland Trail Blazers. Up 3-1 right now in the series, chance to close it out at home. Obviously, they were the 3 seed, but the Thunder were the betting favorite, and the Trail Blazers lost Yusuf Nurkic. So I think out of the West, it's the Blazers. Out of the East, a lot of it's mostly just going how people plan, but I'd say the Magic winning the first game on the road in Toronto obviously shocked everybody, and everybody was like, is Toronto going to be what they've been in the past in the playoffs? So those would be my 2 big shocks so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. For me, in the West, it's going to be the Spurs and how competitive they've been in the 2-7 versus the Nuggets. At the same time, it's an unexperienced Nuggets team against Greg Popovich, and nobody in their right mind is going to bet against Greg Popovich in the playoffs. But I thought that the Nuggets would handle that series, and they haven't thus far. In the East, for me, I think it's with the fire that the Nets came out in Game 1 of their series with the Sixers. They've, taken a step back the last 3 games, but they came out. I really saw a leadership element in D'Angelo Russell that I hadn't seen before, and to see that was surprising for me. But I thought that the Sixers would sort of maintain control of that series, and they have so far.
I agree with you. I think D'Angelo Russell for most improved player in the league, no doubt. Now moving on to baseball. With the weather heating up, the players are obviously going to heat up with it. And as of where we're at right now, who do you guys think the best player in the MLB has been?
I'm going to go with Cody Bellinger. I think it's a different question than who's the best player in baseball and who's having the best season thus far, because it's Bellinger who is having the best season, hitting .424, 11 home runs, 28 RBIs, first in average, first in hits, and second in RBIs and home runs to only Christian Yelich, who I think is the best player in baseball right now. But if we're going season so far through the first month or so, I think it's Bellinger.
I'd have to agree with him. I think it's Bellinger, too. And he mentioned the .424 and then 36 hits, best in the MLB, and then he's second in home runs, second in RBIs. There's not much more to say. It's Bellinger for me, too.
Yeah, I completely agree with both you guys. Now moving on into the NFL. With the NFL draft just around the corner, the three big names entering the draft, Kyler Murray, Nick Bosa, and Dwayne Haskins. Do we think that those three guys are going to land in the top three, or if not, who will?
I don't think Kyler Murray will go one. Everybody's picking him to go one, but if I'm Arizona, I don't know why I would try to wait maybe 2 years and get Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson. I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the best quarterback coming out of a draft in the next 3 years. If I'm Arizona, I'd get Nick Bosa, the best player in the draft, best pass rusher in the draft. I'd go for Nick Bosa in the first pick, and then I'd wait and see if Rosen can maybe come on here this season with a new head coach.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say, but I do think that the Cardinals, with a bad offense last year and the relationship that Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray have, I think they'll end up picking Kyler Murray first. Second, I think will be Nick Bosa. As you said, he's the best player in the draft, and at that point, you can argue you should go with him one, because when you have that kind of a talent, you should just go with him. But I think he will come in at 2. And then at 3, the Jets, they need some edge rushers. So there I'm going with Josh Allen from Kentucky. 17 sacks last season. Like, that number to me is just incredible. So I think he rounds out the top 3. In a different situation, I think the defensive tackle from Alabama would come in at 3. But since it's the Jets, I think it's Josh Allen.
I agree with both of you guys. I think you both have great points, and I do agree with you the most, Nick. I think that Trevor Lawrence will be the best quarterback to come out of college in the next few years, if not all time. Guys, thank you for your time on the show, and Peyton, back to you.
The women's lacrosse team had their final home game on Saturday with a 17-5 loss against Villanova. Kayla Bartl has more.
Butler takes on Villanova this past Saturday. Villanova wins the first draw of the game. Butler quickly causes a turnover at the 30, heading back down to their side of the field. Villanova gets the ball, runs down the field, a shot and a miss. Katie McGrath makes the save. Butler player Steffes gets a yellow card, leading to another goal for Villanova, making the score 3-14 Villanova. Ashley Litzy runs the ball down the field. Sydney Patterson scores, putting another goal on the board for the Bulldogs, making the score 4-14. Villanova wins the draw, making that their 15th goal of the game. Villanova gets the ball again, making the score 4-16. Katie McGrath makes another great save for the Butler Bulldogs. They clear the ball, they cause a turnover, the ball goes back to Villanova for their 17th goal of the game. Laura Byrne gets out of the double team, turns the ball to Carly Hewitt, gets it down the field, passes the ball to Sydney Patterson for their 5th goal of the game, making the final score 17-5 Villanova.
That's it for today's episode of The Bark. Thanks for tuning in for the season finale. I'm Peyton Thompson.
And I'm Mohsin and Waraich. Have a great day.